So are America's children over-medicated, Michelle Bernard?
Oh, absolutely. My personal opinion is absolutely. I mean, kids on sleeping pills, you know, and one of the things that we know about ADHD is that the diagnosis it's very subjective, and there is a great possibility that too many people are being diagnosed with ADHD. I find this alternative type of therapy to be absolutely fascinating, and to know that so much of it is going on here in the Washington metropolitan area. You know, the studies that are, I think, coming out of the Chelsea School, which is a private school in Silver Spring, Kingsbury in Washington.
Let's not get too parochial. It's a national show. It's going on all over.
But it's going all over. But I've got to say, you know, the studies are showing that these kids that are involved with TM are showing enhanced cognitive skills. They're able to focus, they're able to pay attention, and it lasts. Whereas when their ADHD medication wears off, they've got to start all over again, and you sort of see them stepping back. I mean, I think parents have to be careful in making sure that they do what's absolutely right for their kids, but I think this is fascinating.
You know, I talked to Dr. Stixrud, who's one of the pioneers in this. He's a neuropsychologist, and he said that these children that we saw in the package are on ADD medicine, and in fact it would have been fairly difficult to get them to do the TM because these were kids with bona fide cases of ADD and very impulsive, problems with transitioning. And what he told me about was how those brain waves do change, and what it takes away is the stress that stops these kids from being able to think before they act. And he told me about one child in the study he said, what's the difference between before you did this and now that you've done the transcendental meditation? He said, well, in the hall, if someone bumped into me, I just hit him. He said, now, what happens if someone bumps you in the hall? He says, well, if someone bumps me in the hall, I stop and think, do I want to hit him?
He doesn't say Om Nyoko Renge Kyo or something.
Because somebody else got a word in, that's why. All I can say is, get me some TM. I really do mean it. I think this has something to say to the entire society, and I'm fascinated enough about it to want to explore it further. I think that's the story, not simply of kids with ADHD, but to the massive ADHD in American society.
To everybody who's stressing out.
Right. Well, I mean, just all society's faster, the BlackBerries, but the kids are this way. I mean, the computers earlier, the games, the television, everything is constantly at them. And the idea the kid, you know, I run into somebody in the hall and I want to hit them when they run into me. I mean, that's most kids today. You see all the stories that kids act out more. Taking a time out and resting and thinking, I mean, we all feel more refreshed after taking, whether it's prayer, whether it's meditation, you're taking a step back, shutting out the rest of the world for a moment, refocusing. Not surprisingly, these kids and most people who do that perform better.
And you know, I never heard of this thing before. I never heard of ADHD when I was a kid, and I didn't hear of it until fairly recent decades. It makes me wonder whether or not the lifestyle has helped create this in kids.
Well, or they're also thinking mercury in some shots and that sort of thing.
No, but
and there are also those
disproved.
that say parents, you know, unless they're around 3-year-olds, they're shocked when they're around a 3-year-old. They're like, you're not supposed to act this way. You should act older, you know. And so people go, they must be hyper. But there's some truth to some of that. Adults are not around kids as much, and so therefore they kind of look at them and go, why do you act like that?
Or when you have children when you're 60, you're kind of stunned by the 3-year-old behavior, too.
All right, that's it for this edition of To the Contrary. Next week, women's retirement first, college tuition for children second, at least according to one women's magazine editor. Please join us on the web for To the Contrary Extra. And whether your views are in agreement or to the contrary, please join us next time.